moved to Elgin when I was 10 years old, so I've been living here for 17 years now. I love it. It's only a population of 23,000, so it's quite small. I don't think I could live in a city because it's too big. There's enough to do here and everything's so close. You know, all my family's nice and close, and you can see it's a beautiful place at times. No, I'm joking. It is. I really love this place. We obviously have the greatest football team in the world, Elgin City. I'm trying to say that without smiling. We have the greatest MMA team in Scotland here, so that's all that matters. If I hadn't moved to Elgin, I don't know if I would have ever came across this, because it was like friends that I was hanging around with that got me into this. I wanted to be like a professional wrestler, you know, like The Rock and Stone Cold. That's what I wanted to do growing up, and like I was so committed to it. And I will one day still do it, you know, because you know, it's still something I've always wanted to do, and love my wrestling, love all sports, but you know, that's where like this stemmed from, like that kind of performing in front of a whole massive audience, you know, people cheering you on. You know, I always loved that idea, and then kind of growing up a wee bit, kind of moved away from the fake wrestling to the real fighting. You know, my style, you know, I always say I'm a striker, but 9 times out of 10 I'll win by submission. It's crazy. You know, I don't really define myself as a grappler, but I've got good grappling, and it comes in handy, I suppose. But I love dragging my opponent into the deep waters, and you'll see I'll win a lot of fights that way. But I don't get tired. I'll keep that pace on for days, and my opponents can't handle it, and they'll fade in that 3rd round, and I'll finish them in that 3rd round. So in my head, I'm going into this fight, I'm going to win by beautiful head kick, and then I'll take them down and choke them out, and you know, so that sums up my style. I just unpredictable. You never know where the fight's going to go. What have you been up to? Have you at school? What were you learning? Eh? What were you learning at school? Tell me. You gonna tell the boys what you learned? Have you got a boyfriend? Have you? Have you got a boyfriend? You better not. You better not, Aidan. Aidan's my little sister. She's my best friend. She's been my best friend since she was born. She was born with cerebral palsy. She can't walk or talk, but she understands what's going on. She's got the most beautiful smile in the world. My mum and dad obviously provide 24-hour care for her, and I've got so much respect for them for doing that, because it takes such a strong person to be able to do something like that. You know, you'll see her smile, man. It's just the best thing ever. I want you to hold this for me, okay? And see when I turn round, you better still be holding it, okay? We got a deal? We got a deal? Right, you hold that for me. Are you holding it, Aidan? Okay. Aidan! What is this? Was that you? Was that you? Oh, what am I gonna do with you? What am I gonna do with you? Coaching's a massive part of my life, because when we first started training, there was no coaching. We're all self-taught, and we still kind of are, because obviously we are the coaches, but you know, we all learn from each other. But you know, I just love the idea that these guys have someone to help them now, whereas when we first started, we never had any of that. So for me, just even if it's just a month, even if it's just a year, just watching someone improve makes me feel great, because it lets me know that I'm giving back. I haven't got to where I am today because of me, I've got to where I am because of my team pushing me to get to where I am. You know what I mean? Like, all people see MMA and see it as an individual sport, but it's not, it's a team sport. If you've not got a team behind you, you're not going to go anywhere. So I'm 100% loyal to my team, and I owe them so much for where I am just now. So I work for the Chivas brothers. They're owned by French company Pernod Ricard, and they own some of the biggest whiskey companies in Scotland, such as Glenlivet, Strathisla, Aberlour. I've been working there for 5 years now, and such an old company. It's so much history. It's a great company to work for. Everyone's treated well, and obviously you've got your perks of getting whiskey at the end of it as well. This isn't actually my full collection. This is just some of the most expensive ones, and you know, some of the best bottles I've got. So like this one, Macallan, your Concept 1. There was only a limited number of them released after their big expansion last year, and I was lucky enough to get one of them as well. And then right here is one of my favourite whiskies, Glenlivet 15-year-old French Oak. Again, close to home. We make it, and just it tastes brilliant. Anyone that's never tried whiskey, I really would recommend trying that for your first time. Being a father is crazy. You know, when I first found out I was going to be a dad, it was quite a scary thought. You know, also, the first thing that went through my head was, I don't know if I'll be able to train anymore. I don't know if I'll have to give up MMA. But at the same time, now that he's here, I just wish I'd done it sooner. Because, you know, especially that last fight, going into it, all I could think about was him, and you know, how I want him to be proud when he's older, and you know, I want to make a good living for my family one day, make this a full-time job, and you know, live my dream. So if anything, being a father now is actually more encouraging to work harder in the gym, because you know that it's not for you, it's for him, and it's, you know, it's for this family that and legacy you're trying to leave behind. So yeah, it's changed everything. Just, if anything, it's made me work harder. Most exciting fight was, I'd have to go back to my amateur days against Scott Boom Boom Malone, a very good friend of mine now. It's funny because Scott was actually the very first grappling match I ever had as a white belt, and unknown to me at the time, I just thought it was another white belt, and we touched hands, went to grapple, and he had thrown me over his head straight away and choked me out. And I was like, what happened, you know? And I always remembered his face and always remembered his tattoos. And then I saw he burst into the MMA scene a couple of years after I did, and I was like, that's him. I'm gonna get him back one day. And then eventually I had a fight in 2014, and it was like fight of the year. And I went into the fight knowing full well I was gonna get dropped on my head several times, and it was gonna be a total war. Again, I kept that pressure on, like I do to so many of my opponents, and they'll fade, and as soon as they fade, I'll take advantage of it. And I ended up winning a really close decision, but see, when you watch the fight back now, it's better than like some fights you'll see in the UFC. It was a magic fight, I love watching it back, and you know, it's so cool because Scott's such a cool guy. if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out because it's a crazy fight and it's brilliant to watch. I like to come up here and just clear my head a little, and you can obviously see the whole view of Elgin. It's a great place, and so I like to just come up here, do a bit of shadow boxing. I think I'm Rocky, and yeah, it's a nice place to come. I want to be Cage Warriors champion by the end of this year, and I really think it's going to happen. But we need to get that Cage Warriors show in Scotland. We need to show them what it's all about.
It may not be too long before Cage Warriors' hands forced, and we have to venture up north again.
Oh yeah, we had a cracking fight card in Glasgow last time we were there. Love to go back to Scotland, but Edwards pushing with his takedown now, and it's a beautiful Kimura attempt, rolls him all the way through, and he's got the submission.
Didn't even see the tap there as quick as you like.
I suspect it was verbal.
Scottish MMA is booming just now, and it's only going to get bigger because these guys, these guys want it more. You watch one of the Scottish guys getting interviewed in a fight, after the fight, they're so passionate. They want this more than anyone else, and that's why we're taking over. Where's my Scotland flag? Let's go.
Aidan Stephen.